Math 3-9. Now we're going to add and subtract mixed numbers. You can work this problem in two different ways. You kind of need to decide which way is going to be easiest on each problem, because sometimes some problems are easier one way and sometimes other problems are easier the other way. So this is the way that most of us learned it in elementary school. We stacked it up. And this works beautifully for this first problem. So let's do the stacked up way first, since we know what we're doing. It's nice on this first problem we have common denominators already. So all we have to do is say 2 plus 1 is 3, so that's 3/5. And then set 3 plus 4 is 7. 7 3/5. It's already reduced. That's the answer. That was pretty easy. Now the other way to work this problem is to make everything improper. When it's out sideways like this, you're going to change this to improper and this to improper. So that's 5 times 3 is 15 plus 2 is 17. That's 17/5. Plus 4 times 5 is 20. Plus 1 is 21. That's 21/5. And then you have common denominators, so you just add the top numbers. Well, 17 plus 21 is 38. So that's 38/5. Then, after you do that, you have to get it into a mixed number. So you say, well, 5 goes into 38 7 times, and there's 3 leftovers. So it's 7 3/5. Both ways are fine ways to use. Sometimes one is easier. Sometimes, in some problems, this way is actually easier. In this problem, this way was easier. Now, here's the next problem. Subtracting mixed numbers. And I chose a problem where you're going to have to borrow. Because sometimes when you have to borrow, this way is actually easier than this way. So let's do both of them. Okay, in the first problem, I'm going to change everything to improper. So 4 times 12, that's 48, plus 5, that's 53. So 53/12 minus 1 times 12 is 12, plus 7 is 19, 19/12. I already have a common denominator, so I just do 53 minus 19. So 53 minus 19 is 34. So 34/12. Now I have to change that back into proper. So 12 will go 2 times into 34, because 2 times 12 is 24. So that's the whole number 2, and we have 10 leftovers. And then, of course, you have to see if your fraction will reduce, and this one will. That reduces to 2 and 5/6. So there's our answer. Now, in the stacked version of this, the way you were taught in elementary school, you had to take the 4 and borrow, because you couldn't take 7 away from 5. So you had to borrow, make that 3, and then you had to add 1, which we wrote as 12/12. So you got 17/12 over here. And then you went 17 minus 7 is 10/12. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 and 5/6 when you reduce. The problem with the second method is lots of kids get confused up here in the borrowing part. So when you have to borrow, sometimes this side is easier, but they're both perfectly good methods. Okay, everyone try this problem. I don't care which way you work it. I'm going to work it both ways in a minute, but you go ahead and try and see if you can work it without me. Okay, to work this one, first thing we're going to do is make it improper. So 9 times 1 is 9 plus 7 is 16. So that's 16 ninths. And on this side, you have 17 eighteenths. You don't need to make it improper because there's no mixed number. And now we need a common denominator. Our common denominator would be 18ths. So this second one's already in 18ths, so you just write it down. And the first one, you say, how did I get from 9 to 18? Well, I went 9 times 2 is 18, so 16 times 2 will be 32. So 32 minus 17. 32 minus 17. That will be 15. So our answer is 15 eighteenths. Is that all the way reduced? No, because they both divide by 3. 15 divided by 3 is 5, and 18 divided by 3 is 6. So the answer is 5/6. If you do it the other way, the stacked way, first thing you do is get a common denominator, which would be 18. And then you say 9 times 2 is 18, 7 times 2 is 14. Well, can't take 17 away from 14, so I have to borrow my 1 and write it as eighteenths. And then I have to add those eighteenths to the 14s, so 14 plus 18 is 32. So that's 32 eighteenths. So now I subtract 32 minus 17, which is 15, and I reduce that one. Both of them are perfectly good methods. It doesn't matter which one you use, but sometimes one is easier than the other. Here's your video homework. Have a lovely evening.